American Express has some of the best cards on the market, from their top-of-the-line black and platinum cards down to the everyday cards, still offering hundreds of dollars in value for no annual fees. Starting with the American Express Blue Cash Everyday card, a recently updated card that's an amazing entry point into the Amex ecosystem. It not only has absolutely no annual fees, but it will also offer you $200 in welcome bonus after spending $2,000 in the first 6 months, so double the time that most other cards give you, and in some cases giving you $250 in welcome bonus if you've been targeted. You'll also get 0% APR on purchases and balance transfers in the first 15 months, but as you and I both know, you should be paying your bills in full and on time every single month, so ideally this isn't really a perk you should be using in the first place. But what does matter is some categories that you'll get some awesome cashback on, like getting 3% back when you're spending at grocery stores, online retail, and gas up to $6,000 in each of the categories, with 1% back on everything else or when you're past those limits. With groceries and expensive gas being on pretty much everyone's monthly spend, as well as a lot of things moving online nowadays, Amex really hit the nail on the head choosing these categories for their everyday card. Though the online retail category is pretty interesting because to me it's pretty broad. Diving into the fine print, the purchases must be made from a website or an app for US merchants for physical goods, where they explicitly exclude places like restaurants, supermarkets, automotive dealers, as well as when using buy now pay later services. Now what's even more awesome about this card, despite it having no annual fees, are the credits that they offer you, giving you $7 a month or up to $84 a year towards the Disney subscriptions. Personally, I don't have this bundle, but given that almost 5 million people in the US have the entire bundle, seems like it would apply to a lot of you watching. And as you're watching your shows, you could be enjoying meals at home given it's $15 a month or up to $180 a year in statement credit towards Home Chef meal solutions, as well as purchase protection against damage or theft up to 90 days after the purchase. So an amazing card that really lives up to its everyday name and is an amazing card that fits in anyone's wallet, especially with American Express's Apply with Confidence feature, where you can go through the application and find out if you're approved with only a soft pull before actually getting the card. I believe this only works with your first American Express card, but it really makes getting that first card a no-risk thing to do. Alright, the next card is like an upgrade or a complement to the everyday card, and that would be the Blue Cash Preferred. Just like the everyday card, you'll get a welcome bonus, but this time of $250 after a $3,000 of spend in the first 6 months, with those targeted seeing higher offers of $300 instead. And the similarities carry over to the spending categories too, like getting 6% cash back up to $6,000 of yearly spend on groceries, 6% on streaming services, 3% on transit and gas, and 1% on everything else. So compared to the everyday card, you're getting double the bonus on grocery store spend, additional categories on streaming, as well as no spending cap at gas stations, all while paying no annual fees for the first year and then $95 thereafter, which means if you qualify, there's no risk for the first year, especially with its amazing categories you get such high cash back on. I mean, if you eventually get both cards, you could spread your grocery store spend among the two cards, getting 6% back on your first $6,000 and then 3% back on your second $6,000, all while having some pretty complementary categories like transit and online retail. Or you can get the Blue Cash Preferred in the first year and then swap over to the Blue Cash Everyday on year 2 onwards to avoid paying any annual fees. There's lots of ways you can optimize your strategy. But speaking of doubling up, the Blue Cash Preferred will also give you the $7 a month up to $84 a year for the Disney bundle, but this time paired with $120 in Equinox Plus credit spread $10 a month. And not only does this card give you purchase protection, it'll give you return protection too, which actually makes shopping so much easier, especially for someone who loves finding deals but has to deal with final sales or no returns on some retailers. It is odd though that you get the elevated points for online retail on the everyday card, but return protection only exists on the preferred card. Seems like those categories should actually be swapped, but who knows. But the Blue Cash Preferred having $0 annual fee in the first year is another amazing entry into the Amex ecosystem. But even then, given the ultra high cashback of 6% on the preferred card, as long as you spend at least $3,200 a year on groceries, you'll already make up more than the $95 annual fee on the everyday card. That said, there's only that much value to be had with cashback cards. And as you go up the credit card ladder, that's where you venture into the point systems, specifically the American Express membership reward points, where you could get significantly more than the 3 or 6% cashback. Which brings me to what I think is the sweet spot in the American Express ecosystem for most people, and that would be the American Express Gold Card. Mainly because of how the annual fee is when you're able to leverage the two main credits. Get this, yes, the annual fee is $250 every year, but you'll offset that with $120 a year for Uber Cash, which can be used for Uber Eats and rides, as well as $120 a year towards a few dining options, with my favorite being Grubhub or Shake Shack. Both credits are spread $10 a month throughout the year, most likely to make sure the card is top of mind for all their cardholders, rather than buying 1 or 2 big meals in the beginning of the year and throwing the card in your drawer. But given you use both the credits, that brings the annual fee down from $250 to an effective $10. And for all the other things you get with this card, that's well worth the price. For starters, you'll get a baseline of 60,000 points when you hit the $4,000 minimum spend in the first 6 months, with offers as high as 90,000 points if or when you're targeted. Now, these MR points can be redeemed for cashback at 0.6 cents per point value, but that would only make the welcome bonus valued at $360. Still more than the annual fee, but we can do much better. Instead, you could redeem these points for flights through the Amex portal for 1 cent per point, valuing the baseline welcome bonus at $600. Or transfer your points to one of Amex's travel partners like Aeroplan and redeem for upwards of 2 cents per point in value, pinning that welcome bonus at a baseline of $1,200 or more. So an effective $10 a year for the card, as well as a potential $1,000 plus in welcome bonus. But it does not stop there. While spending with the card, you're going to get 4 times points on restaurants worldwide, 4 times on groceries up to $25K a year, 3 times on flights through the portal or direct with the airline, and 1 times on everything else. Again, targeting some major common categories that everyone has, like grocery store spend and restaurants. Yes, at face value, it's less than the 6% cashback you get on the preferred card, but remember the flexibility you can have with these MR points that can get you even more value compared to the cashback equivalent. In addition to this card being arguably cheaper if you're using the 2 easy to use credits. Also, given that this card starts to creep into travel card territory, you start seeing a few of those types of perks on this card as well, with access to the hotel collection giving you $100 experience credit during a minimum 2-night stay, no foreign transaction fees, baggage insurance, trip delay, and more, which can give you even more value from the card. But speaking of travel, the next card on the list is one that you can either get a ton of value out of or none at all, but has enough potential that I think belongs on this list, and that would be the American Express Personal Platinum Card. From my point of view, I've had this card for over 4.5 years now with no plans on canceling. Given it's the card that probably gives me the most value compared to the rest of my cards, despite me not spending on the card day to day. Because in my opinion, it has some pretty mediocre categories with 5 times on flights direct or through their portal, 5 times on prepaid hotels, and 1 times on everything else. Note, the reason I get a lot of value from the card is because A, I'm able to leverage several of the credits every single year to help offset the $695 annual fee. Between the $200 in hotel credit, $200 for Uber Cash, $200 for the airline fee credit, and $100 for Saks Fifth Avenue, those few perks alone already help me break even on the card year after year. If those credits aren't for you, there's still other credits like the digital entertainment, Walmart Plus, or others that could suit your lifestyle better. That said, if you want an in-depth breakdown on the card as well as my experiences, check out the video up in the corner. And B, the enhancements it gives saves me on my travels, from getting Centurion Lounge access to Priority Pass, as well as Marriott and Hilton Gold for regular hotel upgrades, access to FHR hotels with hundreds of dollars in perks every stay, as well as a bunch of travel and shopping protections. Again, this card is not for everyone, but if you can justify it from your lifestyle or using the credits on the card, it's one of the best cards out there for some outsized value, especially given its high baseline welcome bonus of 80,000 points after a $6,000 spend in the first 6 months, with offers as high as 150,000 points if or when you're targeted, meaning at 2 cents per point in value when transferred to partners, that's upwards of $3,000 on the welcome bonus alone. If you're interested in this card or any other card we talk about today, I'll have links down below if you want to support the channel, and thanks in advance. Now, on the topic of travel, American Express also has one of the best hotel cards on the market as well. However, points earned from these co-branded hotel cards are not as flexible as the MR points we just talked about, with the trade-off being you get a lot more value for that dedicated hotel chain that you're loyal with. And that chain is Hilton, with their Hilton Honors Aspire card, where you'll get a 14 times multiplier on spend at Hilton hotels and resorts, as well as 7 times on select travel and US dining, and 3 times on everything else. Coming in at $450 a year, it's not that cheap to hold, but given you get a free night award every year with a card, in addition to another one after $60,000 of spend every year, that night alone can already offset most, if not all, of that annual fee. For example, I'm looking at Japan accommodations, and you can get a free night at the Conrad Tokyo, which has a value of over $700. Or you can go higher end and get a night at the Waldorf Astoria Maldives, valued at over $2,000 a night. It really depends on what types of luxuries you really value, but more or less, this night alone can offset the annual fee, if not really close to it. But even then, that's supported by a whopping 150,000 welcome bonus points after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months, and at the Point Guys valuation of 0.6 cents per point, that's a value of $900 right there, which again really varies, because if we take a look at the Conrad Tokyo again, you could get the same $700 room for about 95,000 points per night, essentially giving you a second night with a card pretty quickly, while still having more than half of the required points for yet another night. And if you do end up staying at properties like the Conrad or Waldorf Astoria, know that you'll also get a $100 property credit whenever you stay at least 2 nights minimum, as well as $250 in airline fee credit for incidental charges for the airline of your choice every year. That said, we haven't even gotten to the star of the show yet, which is probably one of the main reasons why people get this card, and that's getting complimentary diamond status as long as you have the card open. And with that, you'll get all the bells and whistles that Hilton offers, like getting lounge access to room upgrades including suites, daily food and beverage credit, and more. Even if you disregard all of the other credits, as long as you're staying at Hilton a decent number of nights every year, this perk alone can already be worth more than the annual fee. That said, if you're not a fan of Hilton, or maybe you're a fan of Marriott, I compared the 2 amazing hotel credit cards in the video up above. Alright, so cards like the Aspire or the Platinum card are jam-packed with features and have all the bells and whistles. But this next card really shines at being very straightforward and simple to use, while still giving you some amazing value. And that would be the American Express Blue Business Plus card. Now, as long as you have some sort of side business like flipping trading cards on eBay or being a creator online of some sorts, you probably qualify for the card and may not even know it. And if you do, you should strongly consider this card if you're in the Amex ecosystem at all, because this card will give you 2 times MR points on all of your business spend up to $50,000 per year. And with MR points potentially being worth upwards of 2 cents per point through partners, that's an equivalent of 4% cashback when used that way. And being such a great foundation card is why it rounds out the Amex Trifecta when combined with the Platinum and Gold cards, which you can learn more about in this video, or all the secrets to maximize your American Express points in the video over here. I'll see you in the next one.